What's going on, Assassins? It's Darkstrider, the YouTube Assassin, and today I want to take a look back at Assassin's Creed 4, aka Black Flag. Now, this was one of those weird entries in the series. It was one of those games where you either loved it or you hated it. And the thing was that for those people who hated it, what they really hated was the naval combat, which was made popular in Assassin's Creed 3. The naval combat, for some reason, a lot of people didn't like. They didn't like the idea of constantly being on the water and, like having to hunt supplies down. You had to bombard other ships and steal their goods in order to craft things on your ship or to increase your power of the ship. So a lot of people thought it was weird. One of the things I didn't like was the present day. The present day was so convoluted. This was the first time, the very first game, if you think about it, that we were not with Desmond. Desmond had been the main protagonist for the entire series when we get to the present day, and we're looking at his genetic memories. This game kind of took all that away. Instead, what we did in the present day was, just sorted through things. You found all these little sticky notes with information on it and whatnot. You had to hack other computers and whatnot. You were basically just a game player, like a beta tester, kind of like you're playing Valhalla or whatever. And you basically played this game. You went into the memories. They got pieces of Desmond, and they got his genetic material, they got his DNA, and you're basically going back into his DNA in order to go through all this stuff. And it was really weird. I really didn't enjoy what was going on in the present day. It's almost like they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what direction they wanted to go to in present day. So they just literally made the protagonist you. It has no name. There's no gender associated with it. They never say whether you're a male or a female. It's just you. So you would assume that it's you, the player. The only really good redeeming quality about present day was you got to interact with Sean and Rebecca. So there was stuff that was going on after the death of Desmond. So you actually are working for them, working with them, and getting them the information that they need. It really was weird. It's not my favorite present day scenario. And in this case, I could take it or leave it, honestly. But again, where this game shines is in the fact that it is truly an Assassin's Creed game. A lot of people really did enjoy the fact that you have the hidden blade, that you're doing all the different assassinations by air, by land, in haystacks and whatnot. They had fun with that. And then there was also the actual definition of an Assassin's Creed game. The one thing that defines it is the fact that you can parkour. Parkour was huge in this series. And in this game, it didn't hold out. It didn't put any brakes on. There were tons of places for you to parkour. There were tons of scenarios with jungles, with civilized areas, with castles, with fortresses. You really could parkour the living daylights out of this game. It was really weird that we took a step back as far as the year and the character, however. For instance, this is Connor's grandfather. We're playing as Edward Kenway, where in the last entry, Assassin's Creed 3, we played as Connor, and you also played as his father, Haytham, for a little bit. Those were the assassins that you were dealing with, and of course Haytham, he went backwards. He decided to become a Templar. In this one, you play as Edward Kenway, who kind of fell into the whole thing. He basically stole his outfit from an assassin who was going to become a Templar. And then he got his blades from another Templar who kind of collected the blades kind of as trophies. So it was really weird. One of the plots that are kind of lost on me is how did Haytham, or not Haytham, but how did Edward become an assassin? I also want to know how Haytham became an assassin and then went to the Templar side. I think that would be interesting to find out. If you think about it, this man did not actually get brought into the Brotherhood. He wasn't anointed. He wasn't in there. He stole his gear. And then he just decided to do the right thing. So, does he eventually become an assassin? That's what I want to know. And then, how does he get his son involved? Because he does have multiple children, but his son, one of them, the youngest in fact, is the one that becomes an assassin. Maybe they all do. We just don't see it. I don't know. But it is interesting as far as like plots go. Now, again, this gameplay, a lot of people loved it. There were a lot of things that you could do. There were obviously all of the old school assassin, tropes, assassinating people, jumping through whatever bush to like get them, whistling and bringing them in and just slaying them that way. It was a lot of fun, and it really, really did work with the entries. The cutscenes were crisp. I loved them. They really had you going. The graphics were obviously beautiful at the time. This was what, originally a PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 game, and then they put it on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One. Gorgeous game. Cutscenes were great. Had a lot of fun with it. One of the weird things, though, was that the controls. I don't know why they kept changing the controls on all these games. You start off with one control system in the original Assassin's Creed, and I think that they kept it in Assassin's Creed 2. And in fact, they kept the same kind of control scheme through Assassin's Creed 2, into Brotherhood, into Revelations, and then in 3 they changed it. Then in 4 they changed it again. It just made no sense to me why they did that. So sometimes, if you're playing these games, you've got to play them one at a time. Otherwise, you're going to get like really confused as to the controls, because unless you're playing the first 4 entries, no two controls are alike. And it gets really god-awfully confusing. It really does. I could see if they kind of altered certain things just to make things easier, but that's not what they do. They make things kind of harder. Another thing that people may not have liked so much is the fact that this kind of has the same old as far as missions. There's tailing missions. You'll have to tail an agent. You'll have to tail a ship. There's missions where you have to beat up a person. You have to find a key. You have to do things like that. You have to find one person and kill that person. So that in some cases is kind of old hat, but it more than makes up for it with the story and all the other things that you've got going on. I actually didn't mind this so much because it wasn't like it was one right after the other, the same exact thing over and over again. You had a lot of things to do. Now, as far as the map went, the map kind of drove me crazy, honestly. There were a lot of lootables that you had to find in order to complete the game with 100% completion. Not just all the objectives and everything. I mean the lootables, the treasure chests that you had to find. There were animus fragments everywhere. You had to find those and really clean that up. It was kind of annoying trying to find all those things, especially since there really was no end reward. I don't believe. I can't remember playing through it and getting some kind of reward. In Assassin's Creed 2, you got all these feathers and you put them away, and when you got about 50 of them, you got a weapon, and then when you got 100 of them, you got a cape. Both of those, no big deal, but at the same time, at least there was a reward for doing what you did. In this case, it's kind of crazy. You're hunting down the animus fragments, especially the animus fragments don't really do anything, but the treasure chests obviously give you resources, give you money, and you're going to need all that if you want to make sure that you're upgrading your ship so that it is tough. That's one of the big things you've got to do. You've got to upgrade the living crap out of this ship so that you could take on a lot of bigger ships and whatnot. Those kind of things, they're going to take a lot of hits and you're going to have to deliver them. The naval combat itself, I never really had a problem with. I honestly did have fun with it. There's a lot of strategy to it, you know, not just shooting and going, but you have weak points you have to take out. You have different armaments that you can use. If you're being tailed, you could actually launch fire barrels from the back of your ship, and you could carry on. Once you get a ship kind of derelict, it's your choice what you want to do. You can either attack the crew and gain the resources. You could sink the ship and take whatever resources are floating out there, and whatever people are floating that need rescuing, they could join your ship as well. But the fights were a lot of fun, I'm not going to lie. And there was a lot of benefit in actually obtaining the items that they've got. Later on, you could actually take a ship out and you can take it as part of your fleet, in which you could send them out on missions to go and provide different resources to different places and bring back different resources from different places. It really gets you going. Another thing that I thought was really unique and a lot of fun were these hunting missions where you were actually hunting different sharks or whales. Now, some people may argue that, you know, that's bad. Why would you enjoy that and everything like that? You know what? In this case, it's a game, you know? So you're out there, you're doing those things. You need those resources in order to kind of upgrade your gear, upgrade certain things. You can make certain outfits and whatnot, and it's just a lot of fun. There's all kinds of different sharks and whales, and it's part of a lot of challenge that we've got here. Other than that, I thought it was a decent game. I had a lot of fun with this. Again, it did have a lot of basic things that you find in Assassin's Creed. It had a lot of not so basic things that you find in Assassin's Creed. But overall, it was fun. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this game. Did you enjoy this game? Have you even played it? I know a lot of people haven't even played these games. They've been playing the newer ones, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, and never really got a chance to get into all of the previous entries. But if you want to get into any previous entries, this one, in my opinion, is one of the best that you can get. It is a lot of fun. It did do a lot of what the original Assassin's Creed games had, and as far as I know, it was just well received. Even though, again, some people, they had a problem with it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you played it or not and what you thought of it. Other than that, I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Please, make sure you like and subscribe. It helps this channel out an awful lot. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, take care, be good, stay safe, take care of each other. I'll see you guys all in the next one. And, of course, we're going to end this on a ya yeet.
Ya yeet!